So I could very well be the only one noticing this theme, but it seems like this year woods horror, and I don't even know if that's actually a subgenre, but horror in the woods seems to be a focus this year. We've had In a Violent Nature, we've had The Watchers, and now we have Never Let Go with Halle Berry. But before we get into the review, you know what to do. Go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I drop the next reviews. So this film was directed by Alex Aja. The basic premise of the film is that Halle Berry and her two children, her two sons, they live in this cabin out in the middle of nowhere. There are ropes, very long ropes that are tied to the foundation of this cabin, where they have to tie this rope around their waist anytime they go out into the forest. And also, most times they only go out during the day, but day or night really isn't the problem. There's this evil, apparently, that's in the forest, and the foundation of this cabin is blessed. It was blessed by her grandfather. And so if you go out into the woods where this evil is and you do not have that rope attached to your waist, you stand the chance of being possessed by this evil, and that evil will then drive you to kill your entire family, basically. And so, again, the premise of the movie is basically them going out and scavenging for food and looking for materials and supplies, but making sure that they are safe by being attached to this rope, right? Of course, it wouldn't be much of a story if the entire movie they're always attached to that rope and nothing happens. Okay, right? We know that that's not going to happen. There's going to be times where, for whatever reason, somebody is out in the woods and not attached to a rope. One way that that is done very well is that one of the sons, he actually sleepwalks. So he often ends up outside without a rope. And they always seem to conveniently catch him. Most times they conveniently catch him before he's been out there too long and killed or possessed or whatever, and they snatch him back in. One of my favorite things about the movie is the dynamic between the two brothers. And the reason that it's one of my favorite things is because when there are two siblings, and when there's more, it's not as apparent. Like when there's a family and there's 4 or 5 kids, it's not as apparent. But when there's two, they're usually very different. And so that's no different here. You have one kid who pretty much takes everything his mom says as law, and he's basically her lieutenant when she's out. And then the other pretty much rejects everything that she says, and he feels like everything that she says is nonsense. He feels like there is no evil in the woods. This is crap. Like, you've been telling us this bull crap for no reason. I don't understand why. Let me show you. I'll go wander off in the woods without a rope, and I guarantee you nothing happens. So there's that dynamic there. Another one of my favorite things about the film is that they leave it up to the viewer's interpretation to try to figure out whether or not Halle Berry is crazy or if there really is this ominous evil in the woods, right? Or how much of what she's saying is true, like 100% true, or maybe is there any inkling of what she's saying that's simply meant to keep her children in line? Is she twisting the truth a bit just to keep her children in line? We never really find out a 100% true answer to that question. I personally feel like there is a little bit of craziness there, kind of like you're stuck in the woods with just you and your son, or your sons rather, and you've been out here for God knows how long, right? It's basically a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Apparently, as far as they believe, the world is done. There is nothing else in the world. There is nowhere that exists outside of their little cabin, and I'm going to say about 500 yards that rope will carry them before it's too tight for them to go any further. The movie is a beautiful movie. The acting is amazing. Those two children do a phenomenal job. I mean, I feel like a lot was asked of them. This is a very emotionally taxing film. Those young boys, they pulled it off. I mean, A-list work. I love the entire movie. There's only about 4 other cast members. Of course, they're not major cast members because the major members are those 3 in the house, Halle Berry and her 2 sons. But you have about 4 other people that they end up encountering in the woods, right? And it's up to us to figure out, were those people the evil that Halle Berry is talking about, or were they actual people? And because this movie came out a while ago, I'm actually very late doing this review. I had some things that I had to do, and it kind of kept me from actually putting out videos for a couple of weeks. So because this came out a while ago, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here for a few seconds just to say that there will be spoilers that are next that I will get into. So if you still have not seen Never Let Go, I'm pretty sure it's no longer in theaters. So at this point, you're either renting, buying, or waiting for streaming. But spoilers will follow after this point. So we do find out that there is evil in the woods, but we don't know if this evil is evil as in spiritual, supernatural kind of evil, or is it aliens? So there's a scene where one of the sons gets stuck in a box in the, well, he's not stuck. I think Halle Berry put him there, if I can remember. I mean, again, this movie came out a good few weeks ago, and I've only watched it once. She put him in a box. I think she put him inside of that box. There was like an inscription. It's like a, I don't want to call it a box, but it's like a space. That's the best way to put that. It's a space in the floor, and there's like an inscription or some type of carving on the inner part of the door. So as the door closes, on you, you can see it at the top. And so they had to go in there whenever they were outside without a rope. And I guess this was like their test of, are you clean enough to actually be in here, or are you infected by whatever evil is out there? And one of the kids was in there for a good little minute, but towards the end of the film, the evil gets in the house and imitates his mom. And so he like tricks it and knocks it into the little hole in the floor. And when that happens, it stops looking like his mom, and it looks like a weird alien creature. So that's why I'm kind of like, is this evil, or is it an extraterrestrial being that's pretty much a shapeshifter, right? And then the house, of course, is on fire. And one of the boys is protected from the fire because he was inside of the little cellar thing in the floor. And the other boy was outside. A helo comes in, rescue team, and pulls them out and flies them to a nearby town. At this point, Halle Berry has killed herself to keep from being possessed by the evil and end up harming her children. Just as a note, because I know a lot of people really don't like to see things even almost happen to animals. I'm not confirming whether or not something did or whatever. That's why I said almost. You can interpret whatever for yourself when you see the film. But there is a moment where food is scarce and they have a family dog. Halle Berry's character sits down at the table and she talks to the kids about the food situation, or the scarcity of all of their grain and everything that they had been eating. And so she takes the dog outside, and one of the kids is in agreement. You remember I said she's got like the kind of good soldier lieutenant kid that's just whatever you say, Mom, and that's what it is without question. And the other one's the rebellious one. He's not having it. So she tricks him, takes the dog, and they go outside, and then you can figure out what happens after that. But what I will say that comes up during that time, the one who's rebellious cuts Halle Berry's rope because he's mad about this dog. And so that turns out to be one of the better exchanges in the film. Everything that occurs at that moment pretty much pushes us deep into the third act of the film and the final events. Overall, I enjoyed it. Again, it's been a while, so I'm a little bit hazy on like every single specific detail, but I definitely recommend seeing it if you haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure by now it's maybe a $5.99 rental or something like that, but never let go. Have you seen it? Do you intend to see it? If you did, what did you think about it? Definitely get down in those comments and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I drop the next reviews. See you guys next time.